Nice to meet you all for the first time. Happy New Year, everyone.
What was the name again?
You have to ask Kevin. He's the announcer. How are you, Damien?
Great.
Good.
Another year.
Yep, another year.
Was it 5?
Yep, start of 5. I don't remember 3, but I remember these things.
Does this year feel any different? I mean, sifting up.
Well, yeah, I mean, it feels different in that, again, your starting position's a little bit different than where we were, say, a year ago as a starting position. Every year in MLS, unfortunately, you go through roster shifts and changes, and you gotta kind of, sometimes as coaches, we have to let the dust settle a little bit to see what it's actually going to look like when it's all said and done. But trying to, build out our vision for 2025, but, understanding that we have a title to defend and expectations to fulfill, and so it's a good place to be in. It's a good one, but the group is focused, and the intention and the attention is on just the process, right? Preseason is always a process. Guys getting their legs underneath, getting their brains functioning again. Those two things don't connect very well at the beginning, so it's a little bit messy. But we're getting there. But everybody came in good fitness levels and ready to go. So we're in a good spot for where we need to be right now.
How many questions are there as to what the team will look like once you are really playing?
I don't know. We'll probably share probably a few. I don't know if there's a ton, but there's probably a few as to how we will fill certain spots and who those guys will be and how they ultimately fit in the group and all that. I don't think there's a ton, but we certainly have lost some important guys. As unfortunately sometimes happens when the more success you have, sometimes the more challenges you have to keep a group together. So we'll see as we go through the next couple of weeks. Hopefully clarity starts to really set in and guys start to get here and start to prepare for the group and what's to come.
One of those departures is Marky, who you've been with for a long time. Were you the one who told him, and what was that conversation like?
I wasn't the one that told him, but it was emotional. It's Mark and I and some of our staff have been with Marky for the better part of 15 years. Since he was probably 14 or 15 years old. So obviously our relationship, our familiarity, his understanding of what we do, and all those kinds of things are. We have that history that we'll miss. I wish him personal success. His success stops there. I told him I'm glad he won. I'm glad he got his 2 championships with us, and that'll be it. But no, we'll miss him. Like I said, he was a guy who just plug and play, and he knew exactly what was expected of him, and so we'll miss him. But I wish him personally well, obviously.
What is that vision for 2025?
Yeah, look, I think we need to build off of some things that over the course of the year we started to establish. I think in the latter part of the season, some things started to really come together. Our understanding of each other. Last year as you bring in new wingers and Ricky obviously doing what Ricky does, and other guys growing inside of our group. Guys were getting more and more comfortable with each other with more and more repetitions and playing. Working also with me, understanding them a little bit better on how to create better movements inside the group, us recognizing what our strengths and weaknesses were and how to lean into some of our strengths and cover some of our weaknesses. So you learn a lot about yourselves and one another as you go through a process like we did last year. So, one of the things I said at the beginning of last year is our success will be kind of dependent on our growth and maturity as a group over the course of the season. We certainly did that over the course of the season. Now, we have a bunch of guys in this locker room who've won a championship who haven't won a championship prior to last year. So our starting position from that side should be better. And now we'll have some new faces that we'll need to integrate and get into our culture and to our vision of playing. And then I think every year is a new process, because as we add new faces, I'm going to have to learn a little bit about their strengths and weaknesses and how to connect those with the guys that we have and make sure we get the most out of everybody that we have. So that's where a new process starts. But certainly our growth as a group from a mentality standpoint and an understanding how to be successful is higher than it was 12 months ago, for sure.
Greg, can you talk to us about the depth of this team? I mean, 4 competitions this year. So how do you go ahead and manage that? And do you think the team is doing great?
I mean, it's tricky, as you saw with Columbus last year, and just the amount of events and games that you potentially have in front of you. It's something that we're going to have to manage. Players love playing games. For us, it's being able to, and from my side, it's being able to keep guys healthy, to manage, put our best teams out to give us a chance to win in each of these games, while being mindful of the big picture also sometimes. And so finding the right balance of rotation, the right balance of rest and work for guys, while again trying to achieve. The best thing we can do is just keep getting deeper and deeper and keep getting more and more competition in spots. And when you do decide to rotate, you don't want the drop-offs to be significant, and you don't want the two players who play the same position to be miles apart from each other in terms of their qualities and what they bring to the equation, so you can have some continuity. But what we're going to be working on is, Will and the group will be working on filling some of those spots with guys who fit into what we do and provide us, again, some added depth, some topside quality, all those kinds of things. So we just want to be the best group we can, and then grow together as a group as we now play in Champions League and some new environments potentially for us if we have to go and play in Central America or Mexico or Costa Rica or things. This is something that a lot of our guys haven't done a lot of, and so it'll be another new experience for our group that I think will be great learning experience.
Is everybody here?
No, not everybody's here yet. We've got a couple of visa guys that are working. Gabe is finalizing, I think, his visa stuff this weekend and should be here Saturday or Sunday. Zonka's still working on getting his visa stuff done and should be in as soon as that happens. I think most of the rest of the group is here by and large. Joe's been in for a couple days now, so he's getting fully integrated. He looked great yesterday. We brought him down a little bit today, but he looks good. So it's good. Now as we're seeing guys again come in and settle in, and Elijah came in, yesterday today. So it's good to see him and what we're going to be working with him as well.
How do you look at the goalkeeper position, McCarthy and Novak? You brought back Brady, and then you signed Marcin Kowski. How does that? 4 keepers. How does that sort of play out?
It's a lot of keepers. We'll see. It's again, it's a new season, so there's a bit of a competition there. We obviously know what J-Mac brings to the equation because he was excellent last year, and what we were and doing the job that we needed him to do. Novak is always a guy we believed in his upside and his potential, so we want to continue to see what his growth looks like. JT brings another guy with experience, and he's kind of on a bounce back off of a couple tough years of, I think, rehabilitation. So, but from what I've seen from him for the first few days, he understands what we're trying to do. Let's see what preseason, kind of how it plays out and how everybody is doing through the course of preseason, and we'll figure. I'm going to have to make some tough decisions on who's in the net, and then we'll see how everything else plays out around that. So.
How do you see Sean Davis fitting in? What kind of role do you see him playing? And do you have a feel for Zonka yet?
Yeah, for Sean, he's obviously a guy who understands our league. He's been around the league for a long time, and he knows what the MLS grind and the challenges are. He provides us depth in that true six position that Eddie was spending a lot of time playing last year. For Sean, I've had a lot of good conversations with him. He's not really been on many teams who dominate the ball. They've been on a lot of teams who work hard in defense and transition and are ball recovery, counter-pressing type teams, like the Red Bull type of teams. And so he does bring us some defensive reading and some game sort of disruption types of thought process. He'll have to learn a little bit more of his role with the ball and how to help organize attacks and builds and things like that, which is something I know he's eager to do. So it's a little bit of a different profile. Wonderful guy, great for the locker room. Obviously, I think he's been a captain in some of the places he's been, so he brings that kind of a know-how and leadership to the group. So, and I know he's eager to learn something a little different than what he's been doing.
Is he going to play a bit of 8 as well?
I don't know if he'll play, how much 8 he'll play, just because it's not really his qualities. He usually sits in front of the back line and helps to, again, put out fires and organize defensive plays and connect the front group. So, between he and Eddie, they'll probably share some role. I think Eddie could step a little higher. He has a little bit more of the legs to be an 8 if we wanted him to do that. But we will, I suspect we'll continue building inside of our midfield as we get through this preseason. Yeah, if we use a double pivot, those two can complement each other for sure inside of there.
And feeling on Zonga?
Experienced, obviously he's played in some big environments and big games. I look for him to bring in some leadership, help balance off, Maya's minutes. I mean, Maya played almost every game last year, and so, we'll see what the two of them can look like together with a really experienced back line, but also they can give each other some cover and support so that we always have an experienced guy out there with Emmy or whoever ends up being next to them. So again, another guy that just brings the ability to manage the line, communicate to people in front of them, comfortable on the ball. Just again, another sort of staple, that where we don't have to run Maya all the time either, and he can get his proper sort of rotations and rest and be ready for the key moments.
Do you have a feel for the earliest you probably have Ricky is July, I would think.
Earliest. I'm not even thinking that, but yeah. Earliest is fair to comment.
And obviously he is unique in the way you guys play, revolve around what he does. So how far along are you in devising how the attack will be structured without him?
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, we had to do it at times last year. Diego came inside, that was an option. Then we added Marco later in the year, that's an option,
These
right?
tended to be one-offs.
Yeah, well, it's been one-offs because when Ricky's available, Ricky plays, so it becomes one-offs, right?
Exactly.
But again, they're different players and they play the roles differently, and the spaces that Marco tends to take up are different types of movements that he has, or different types of movements than what Ricky does. So structurally, we just need to be mindful of that as we set up our different shapes and things like that in terms of build. We have different options. I mean, again, we created a lot of space for Ricky to be able to move and to open space so that Ricky could be fluid in movement. Without Ricky's movement, sometimes we don't need to be quite so open. We can be a little bit more, structured and positionally stable. We don't necessarily need to be to open things up quite as much at times. So there's different things that we feel like we can do that we will have to do differently in order to make up for what we don't have in Ricky's the way he plays the game. So, but we'll have to experiment. But like I said, we have some history of things that we've done that we know can work.
We're going to need to move to Zoom because we have some other players that we want to be able to bring you guys. So I think, Josh, you have your hand up. Or no, Alex.
Hey, Greg. Glad to be able to talk to you once again. You've been in this position before, entering a season as a defending champion. I'm just curious to know, in your past experience and maybe for this year, how much of maybe like a tactical switch or things like that you have to do when you're in a championship defense season, knowing that teams already have a game plan for you, they know how to attack you, watching your film all year. Are you expecting a lot of changes, especially with a lot of the roster construction? Thank you.
I appreciate it, Alex. I think, look, for me, I think our team is pretty fluid tactically to begin with. Like last year, we would move different players into different positions. Sometimes you'd see Mickey play wide. Sometimes you'd see him come inside. Sometimes, we would do different things on the left side, create different ways for Ricky to drop down or roll out. So I think one of the things I always like our teams to be is pretty fluid tactically, and to be able to read what the opposition is trying to do against us and then organize our solutions based off of that. That we're not like every week we're doing the same thing and we're easy to game plan against. I think that's one of the things that's been good about our group is over our time we've been able to find, again, sort of different tactics inside of a game that find the solutions to that particular game. And it's stuff we work on. And so I don't think we need to come into the season with necessarily any specific tactical, like this is who we are. We set on our principles. Our principles are who we are. Our tactics, our movements, all that stuff kind of depends on us playing against the opposition and looking at what their tendencies tend to be and solving the problems of the game. So I think I want us to continue to be flexible and adaptable in that way. And if we do that, then we're in a good position. The pieces that we will add, which I'm sure there'll be, like I said, 2-3 more pieces to come between now and the start of the season. We'll get the feel for the strengths of those players and how they will fit into the ideas that we will have as a team and how we can best utilize them and help them to be successful inside of our vision.
Thank you.
Is that it?
Okay, Josh, yeah.
Okay.
Hey Greg, just maybe a quick one. Any contact you've had with Ricky since his surgery, and maybe what his mindset is after going through that ordeal?
Yeah, I actually spent like 5 days in Barcelona in the off season. Spent a little time with him and his family. It was wonderful just seeing him in his environment and around his family. Amazing support system that he has there, and the work that he's doing. You know, every day he's feeling better. He's, you know, getting more mobility. He's putting in the work. I mean, he knows what's in front of him in terms of getting healthy and getting himself back into fitness and form and health and all that kind of stuff. He's motivated and he's focused on that, and you can tell he's working hard on that side of things. We actually have one of our trainers is in Barcelona right now, you know, just kind of working with him and also seeing and meeting with the people that he's working with, so that we are consistently communicating on his plan and helping him and providing him the support he needs to get better. So his mentality is just to keep putting in the work. He wants to come back fitter and stronger than ever and ready to, you know, pick up where he left off and keep moving forward. So, you know, we're here to support him in that process, and at some point, you know, he'll come back in with us and start to work his way back onto the field and all those kinds of things. But for right now, I think he's in a really good spot to keep making the progress that he needs and with the support that he needs around him.
Thank you, Josh. Yeah, go ahead.
If you look at, when you talk about the head of the roster, where are you guys like, Mauricio, Tucker, Isaiah, and then the academy guys,
Yep.
and the draft picks, how do they sort of fit into this puzzle?
Yeah, I mean, obviously guys that had gained some experience last year, Mauricio, I mean, we need him to take a step forward again this year. There's some more games, more opportunities for him. So, you know, last year he played some winger for us. He played in, you know, hopefully I suspect that he'll be more ready to contribute this year than even where he was last year, just based off experience. You know, Isaiah, Tucker, these are guys now who've spent a year with us. We know a lot about what they bring to the equation. They understand the way we want to play, so that makes me comfortable in finding the right moments and using those guys. So Ruben is a player who obviously has just continued to grow and inside of all of his experiences. I think he'll play a role this year within our group and be able to step in and help us out at times. You know, we got Julian back healthy last year. You know, hopefully we can keep him there, but we missed him for big chunks last year, so it'd be nice to have him and his depth and his quality back within the group. So Asel, Pepe, like we got a lot of guys, Harbor. These are all guys that need to be one more year, more mature, more experienced than they were last year to be able to be options for us when they're called upon. So, you know, they're all in preseason and they're all getting themselves ready for whatever role they're asked to do this year.
The other field.
First round pick, Jason.
Jason's in, yeah, Jason's in. Yeah, I think that sounds right. Again, athletically, interesting, tall and lean and mobile and shifty. He's interesting in the 1v1 situation, so he's been very comfortable going left, going right. So again, it's going to be connecting, you know, his decisions, when to do what, and what the right solutions are, connecting with his teammates. We see him out there, he's eager to want to make runs or want to do things. They're just not quite at the right time yet, the right connection with the player who he's trying to combine with. So just things that he's going to have to keep learning, but his skill set is interesting for sure for us to work with, and he has the physicality to be able to compete at the MLS level, and now it's just going to be able to put some of those other pieces together, and we'll see how much he can help us.
Is he somebody in the draftees? Are they somebody that have a shot at the first team, or are they somebody that's more likely for Ventura?
We'll see as preseason goes. You know, all the guys we drafted have something. It's just going to be a matter of whether what they have is ready for our group right now and the challenges that we have right in front of us. But I feel like they can grow, and we don't need to rush them. They can grow into, you know, the roles that we need them to grow into, and hopefully provide us the support and the depth when we need it, that they'll be ready to step up and help us out. You know, so I don't think any of them are ready right now to jump into a spot and and lead the group in any sort of way. You know, they're there to learn and to support and to build. Yeah.
Sorry, guys. That has to be our last question. Thank you, Greg. We've got Marco ready. I know.
Well, Marco, I'm sure you guys want to speak to.
We have to
so.
keep moving.